Hello and welcome to Mastermind with me, Clive Myrie. In the spotlight tonight are Joe Andrew, an emeritus professor. His specialist subject, the suffragette Emily Wilding Davison. Padraig O'Kane, an electrical engineer who will be answering questions on the BBC political satire series, The Thick of It. Anna Kirby Hall, a teacher whose subject is the pop culture movement, the New Romantics. And Jack Karimi, a Democratic Services officer, his subject, 20th century US vice presidents. It is the stiffest of quizzing challenges, a test of knowledge and memory recall made all the more arduous by the unforgiving spotlight, the ticking clock, and the famous black chair. It's hard to believe that anyone would voluntarily submit themselves to such interrogation, but thousands of you do every year, and the lucky few make it this far. At stake, a single place in the semi-finals. 2 minutes on their specialist subject and 2.5 minutes on general knowledge are coming up. So, can I ask our first contender to join us, please? Your name?
Joe Andrew.
Your occupation?
Emeritus Professor.
And your specialist subjects?
Emily Wilding Davison.
The suffragette who died in 1913 after stepping into the path of the King's horse during the Epsom Derby. In 2 minutes. Let's go. What was the name of the family home near Sawbridgeworth, where the Davisons moved soon after Emily's birth in 1872?
Gaston House.
Yes, Davison joined the Women's Social and Political Union in 1906, and during her second spell in prison, she wrote on the wall her motto, "Rebellion against tyrants is" what?
Obedience to God.
Yes, as a result of trying to disrupt David Lloyd George's budget speech in 1909, Davison, together with a fellow suffragette and close friend, received the longest prison sentences. What was her friend's name?
Mary Lee.
Yes, Davison supported herself by teaching and, in her 30s, was governess to the family of which Liberal MP for Torquay?
Frances Leyland Barrett.
Yes, what's the title of the essay written by Davison that begins with the line, "The true suffragette is an epitome of the determination of women to possess their own souls"?
The Price of Liberty.
Yes, in 1909, as a protest at being force-fed in prison, Davison barricaded herself in her cell, but had a hosepipe turned on her, resulting in her being awarded what sum of money as compensation?
40 shillings.
Yes, Davison was recorded twice on the 1911 census. Firstly, at the Palace of Westminster, where she'd hidden overnight, and secondly, at an address on what London street?
Coram Street.
Yes, after her numerous spells in prison, Davison would often recuperate at her mother's home in which Northumberland village near Morpeth?
Long Horsley.
Yes, what's the title of the unpublished article dated 1911 in which Davison describes how and why she had set fire to postboxes in London?
Incendiarism.
Yes, what was the name of the man whom Davison attacked in November 1912 as she mistook him for the Chancellor, David Lloyd George?
The Reverend Forbes Jackson.
Yes, what was the name of the King's horse ridden by Herbert Jones, which collided with Davison at the 1913 Epsom Derby?
Anma.
Yes, Davison's funeral procession through London on the 14th of June 1913 set off from Victoria Station and culminated in a service at which church in Bloomsbury?
St George's, Bloomsbury.
Yes, Davison's body was taken for burial. How started this all finish? In the family plot at Morpeth, and on its arrival, the Benwell Silver Band played what piece of music?
La Marseillaise.
It was the Marseillaise. Joe, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you've got 13 points.
Thank you.
And our next contender, please. Your name?
Padraig O'Kane.
Your occupation?
Electrical engineer.
And your specialist subject?
The thick of it.
Yes, the political television satire set in the fictional Department of Social Affairs and Citizenship known as DOSAC, and the 2009 spin-off feature film In the Loop. In 2 minutes. Starting now, the policy advisor, Ollie Reeder, who's described scathingly by the spin doctor Malcolm Tucker as looking a bit like a Quentin Blake illustration, is played by which actor?
Chris Addison.
Yes, in the film, In the Loop, what object does Linton Barrick, the Assistant Secretary for Policy at the State Department in Washington, use for a paperweight?
Hand grenade.
Yes, when the Dosac Minister Nicola Murray visits number 10 and asks for a whiskey, Malcolm says that it hasn't been touched in a while and that it still has whose lipstick on the bottle?
Pass.
Nicola Murray says of her government department, I do love the division of labour in this place. I love the way the women do the heavy lifting and the men do the heavy what?
Complaining.
No, sarcasm. What's the name of the junior minister who, during his disastrous interview with Jeremy Paxman on Newsnight, is likened to an enormous chicken and a sweaty octopus?
Ben Swain.
Yes, when Nicola Murray and the shadow minister Peter Mannion appear on Richard Bacon's radio show, it's revealed that their parties have both received donations from what company that employs sweatshop labour?
JFU.
Yes, at the start of Series 3, Ollie Reader describes his fellow Special Advisor Glenn Cullen as not old school, but ancient school, and says that he used to get his packed lunch nicked by whom?
Pass.
In the film In the Loop, when Jamie MacDonald doctors an intelligence report, he changes the codename of the informant from Iceman to that of which composer?
Debussy.
Yes, when Glenn Cullen is asked how Margaret Thatcher used to survive on less than 4 hours sleep a night, what's his immediate two-word reply?
Pass.
What three-word phrase intended to describe everyday heroes is spotted on notes carried by Nicola Murray's policy advisor Helen Hadley and turned into a newspaper headline?
Quiet bat people.
Yes, what's the name of the official inquiry into the culture of information leaking and the death of Mr. Tickle, at which Malcolm Tucker is referred to as Iago with a BlackBerry?
The Goulding inquiry.
Yes, when the junior minister Fergus asks Terry to check whether Peter Mannion understands the Silicon Playgrounds policy, he says it's a bit like asking if a dog can grasp the concept of what?
The internet.
No, Norway. And you had just 3 passes. When Glenn Cullen is asked how Margaret Thatcher used to survive on less than 4 hours sleep, monkey glance. At the start of Series 3, Ollie Reader says that his fellow special advisor, Glenn Cullen, got his packed lunch nicked by Plato. And when the Dosac Minister Nicola Murray visits number 10 and asks for a whiskey, Malcolm says it hasn't been touched in a while, it's still got the lipstick of Anthony Eden on the side. And at the end of that round, you've scored 7 points. And our next contender, please. Your name?
Anna Kirby Hall.
Your occupation?
Teacher.
And your specialist subjects?
The New Romantics.
British pop culture movement of the late 1970s and early 80s, characterised by its flamboyant fashion. In 2 minutes, let's go. What venue in Great Queen Street in London's West End hosted a nightclub run by Rusty Egan and Steve Strange that helped launch the new romantic movement?
Billy's.
No, Blitz Club. What's the name of Spandau Ballet's early producer, a one-time member of the band Landscape, who's credited with coining the term new romantic?
Burgess.
Yes, Richard James Burgess. The 2 designers who opened a namesake boutique in Hurst Street, Birmingham, in the mid-1970s, which became a flagship design outlet for the New Romantics, were Jane Kahn and who else?
Bell.
Yes, Patti Bell. The video for David Bowie's 1980 single Ashes to Ashes features several prominent New Romantic figures and was co-directed by Bowie and which filmmaker?
James Garn.
No, David Mallet. What was the theme of Vivienne Westwood's 1981 collection, her first catwalk show, the subject of which she described as very English, very empiric?
Pirates.
Yes. Which ballad by Culture Club features the lyrics, "Love leads us into the stream, and it's sink or swim, like it's always been"?
Time Clock of the Heart.
No, Victims. What's the name of the former NME editor who began publishing The Face magazine in 1980, perceiving a gap for a glossy magazine that acknowledged the fashion end of music?
Nick Logan.
Yes. Which pair of directors made the influential video for the Visage song, Fade to Grey?
Godley and Creme.
Yes. What's the surname of the brothers Paul and Michael who let the early Duran Duran rehearse at their Rum Runner Club in Birmingham and later managed the group?
Barrow.
Yes. What's the name of the London club Regular, whose renowned outfits of the time included a wedding dress topped with a policeman's helmet, and of whom Boy George said meeting him was his cultural development?
Philip Sallon.
Yes, Spandau Ballet achieved their first UK #1 single in 1983 with True, a song Gary Kemp says was inspired by his unrequited love for which Scottish singer and actress?
Claire Grogan.
It was Claire Grogan. And Anna, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you've got 8 points.
Thank you.
And our final contender, please. Your name,
Jack Karimi,
your occupation,
Democratic Services Officer,
and your specialist subject.
20th century US Vice Presidents.
Yes, in 2 minutes. Let's go. Which vice president is reported as saying that the post was not worth a bucket of warm spit?
John Nance Garner.
Yes, what nickname for the post of vice president was originally applied to Alban W. Barkley after it was coined by his 10-year-old grandson?
The Veep.
Yes, Harry S. Truman was instructed not to play piano in public by his wife, Bess, after he performed at the National Press Club in February 1945, with which actress perched on top of his piano?
Lauren Bacall.
Yes, in 1973, Gerald Ford became the first person to be appointed vice president in the manner stipulated by what number amendment to the US Constitution?
The 25th.
Yes, in late November 1941, Henry Wallace was appointed to which committee that advised President Franklin D. Roosevelt on proposals to build an atomic bomb?
The Supply Priorities and Allocations Board.
No, the Top Policy Committee. During his tenure as vice president, Calvin Coolidge used as his residence an apartment in which hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C.?
The Willard.
Yes. Which teetotal vice president was nicknamed Cocktail Charlie after Manhattan cocktails were served at a party he hosted for the president?
Charles Curtis.
No, Charles Fairbanks. In a 1988 vice presidential debate, Dan Quayle compared his political experience with that of John F. Kennedy when he ran for president, prompting which Democratic candidate to say, "Senator, you're no Jack Kennedy"?
Benson.
Yes, Lord Benson, at the time of the US-backed invasion of Cuba in 1961. Lyndon B. Johnson was unaware that it was taking place and was at his ranch in Texas entertaining which European politician?
Pass.
Charles Curtis was the first US vice president known to have Native American heritage and was an enrolled member of which tribe?
The Ouija people?
No, with a core. Which major star lent Spiro Agnew $10,000 to pay his fine for tax evasion, the conviction that caused his resignation?
Frank Sinatra.
Yes, Al Gore's use of the White House in fundraising for the 1996 re-election campaign led to accusations that he'd broken which law passed in 1883?
It's not the Hayes Act.
No, it's the Pendleton Act. You had one pass. At the time of the US-backed invasion in Cuba, Lyndon B. Johnson was entertaining a European politician in Texas, West Germany's Konrad Adenauer. And at the end of that round, Jack, you've got 7 points.
Thank you.
And at the end of the specialist subjects round, let's have a look at the scores. In joint third place with 7 points each, Padraig and Jack. In second place with 8 points sits Anna. And in first place with 13 points, it's Joe. So now, the general knowledge round. And if there's a tie at the end, then the number of passes is taken into account and the person with the fewer passes is the winner. And if they're tied on passes as well, it's a tie break. So let's ask Padraig to join us again, please. Padraig, you start with 7 points. You've now got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Let's go. In a standard pack of playing cards, the letter J on a court card or picture card indicates what rank?
Jack.
Yes, what name is given to the small rounded club used together with a cup-shaped vessel known as a mortar to grind cookery ingredients such as pastes and spices?
Pestle.
Yes. Do You Want to Build a Snowman is a song that features in what 2013 Disney animated film?
Frozen.
Yes. What four-letter prefix derived from a Greek word meaning dwarf is added to words such as second and meter to mean 1/1000th of such units?
Pico.
No, nano. In Australia, the word jumbuck is an informal term for what farm animal?
Cow.
No, sheep. In the Liverpool-based police television drama series The Responder, first shown in 2022, the main character, Chris Carson, is played by which actor?
Jimmy Nesbitt.
No, Martin Freeman, the Via Dolorosa, or Sorrowful Road, said to be the route taken by Christ on his way to crucifixion, is in which Middle Eastern city?
Jerusalem.
Yes, Lugnag and Glubdubdrib are among the places visited by which fictional traveller?
Gulliver.
Yes, what two-word term for a region that has been devastated by drought, wind erosion and loss of topsoil was first used in the 1930s for the area of the American Great Plains that had been affected in this way?
Artificial desert.
No, Dust Bowl. In 2008, the X Factor winner Alexandra Burke reached #1 in the UK singles chart with a cover version of which Leonard Cohen song?
Hallelujah.
Yes, pupils of which English public school, founded in 1382, are known as Wykehamists, after the college's founder, William of Wykeham?
Eton.
No, Winchester College. In the name of the professional sporting organisation, often abbreviated to the letters ATP, the letter T stands for the name of which racket sport?
Tennis.
Yes, which Spanish poet and dramatist wrote the 1930s plays Blood Wedding and The House of Bernarda Alba?
Pass.
What common name is given to a painful strain of the tissues of the neck, often resulting from a sudden jerking back of the head after a rear-end traffic collision?
Whiplash.
Yes, what term for a figure of speech that compares one thing to another? For example, he's as strong as an ox is derived from the Latin word for like.
Simile.
Yes, what gemstone, a variety of beryl, has a name that comes from the Latin for seawater?
Amethyst.
No, aquamarine. What Italian term is also used in English for the artist's technique of applying oil paint very thickly so that it stands out from the surface of the canvas?
Pass.
Which American actor and director founded, I've started to all finish, the Sundance Institute in 1981 to support independent filmmaking?
Robert Redford.
It was Robert Redford. 2 passes. Impasto is the Italian term for the artist's technique of applying oil paint thickly. And the Spanish poet who wrote Blood Wedding and The House of Bernarda Alba, Federico Garcia Lorca. And at the end of that round, Podrig, you've got 17 points. Next up, let's have Jack. Jack, you start with 7 points. The score to beat as it stands is 17 points. You've got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Starting now, the number 0.5 is equal to what fraction?
Half.
Yes, which city within the Los Angeles metropolitan area is famous for celebrity homes, Rodeo Drive, and the zip code 90210?
Beverly Hills.
Yes, Asparagus, Mungo Jerry, and Jenny Anydots are characters in which musical by Andrew Lloyd Webber?
Cats.
Yes, museums in Hendon, in North London, and Cosford near Telford are dedicated to the history of which of the UK's armed forces?
The Army.
No, the Royal Air Force. What's the name of the former England rugby union player who, in 2021, joined the hockey player Sam Quek as a new team captain on the television quiz show A Question of Sport?
Pass.
Which French writer and philosopher was imprisoned in the Bastille in May 1717 for his satirical attacks on the country's regency government?
Olympia.
No, Voltaire, in the name of a diagnostic technique used in radiology. The abbreviation MRI stands for magnetic resonance what?
Imaging.
Say it again?
Imaging.
Yes, the compositions Chameleon and Watermelon Man feature on the 1973 album Headhunters by which American jazz pianist and keyboard player?
Pass.
In the original name of the banking organization HSBC, the letter S stood for the name of which Chinese city?
Shanghai.
Yes, which Italian became the first football manager to win all 5 major European leagues when he led Real Madrid to victory in La Liga in April 2022?
Conte.
No, Carlo Ancelotti. The American author Daniel Handler wrote the collection of books entitled A Series of Unfortunate Events under what 2-word pen name?
Lemony Snicket.
Yes, which British actor's film roles include the Prime Minister in the 2003 comedy Love Actually and the villainous thespian Phoenix Buchanan in 2017's Paddington 2?
Hugh Grant.
Yes, what imperial unit of weight measurement is also an alternative name for the snow leopard?
Pass.
The title of what chart-topping 1980 single by ABBA is the name of a type of spotlight used in theatres and concert venues?
Super Trooper.
Yes, in 2017, the Cartwright Hall Art Gallery in Bradford opened a permanent display dedicated to which artist who was born and grew up in the city?
Turner?
No, David Hockney. Which Balkan country gained independence in 2006, having been part of a union with Serbia from 2003?
Montenegro.
Yes, the Anglo-Saxon warrior king Edmund II, who battled against the invading Danes and died in 1016, is commonly remembered by what nickname?
Pass.
It was Ironside. And you had 3 other passes. The imperial unit of weight measurement is also an alternative name for the snow leopard. It's ounce. Herbie Hancock wrote Chameleon and Watermelon Man. And joining Sam Quek on a question of sport, Ugo Monya. And at the end of that round, Jack, you've got 16 points.
Thank you.
It's time for Anna. Anna, you start with 8 points. The score to beat as it stands is 17 points. And you've now got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Let's go. The retail acronym BOGOFF stands for buy one, get one, what?
Free.
Yes, in a well-known fairy tale by Hans Christian Andersen, a princess endures an uncomfortable night's sleep because what small vegetable has been placed beneath her 20 mattresses?
P.
Yes, which actor and martial artist, born in Hong Kong in 1954, stars as Chief Inspector Lee in the Rush Hour series of films?
Jackie Chan.
Yes, Pico del Teide, the highest peak on Spanish territory, is on which of the Canary Islands?
Terra del Fuego.
No, Tenerife. What's the name of the traditional seafood pie from Cornwall, characterised by the heads of fish sticking out through the pastry crust?
Stargazy Pie.
Yes, before he was elected to the Westminster Parliament. At the 1987 general election, David Blunkett was the leader of a metropolitan council in which city in northern England?
Sheffield.
Yes, which French rugby union club won the European Champions Cup for the first time in May 2022, beating Leinster in the final?
Lyon.
No, La Rochelle, the name of which small rodent native to Arctic regions is also a word for someone who unthinkingly follows a mass movement, often towards disaster.
A lemming.
Yes, which television soap began on Channel 4's launch night in 1982 and ran for 21 years until it was axed in 2003.
Brookside.
Yes, which Roman historian whose works include the Germania and the Annals married the daughter of the general and statesman Agricola?
Tacitus.
Yes, in the human body, the pinna, sometimes known as the auricle, is the external visible part of each of which pair of sense organs?
The nose.
No, the ear. What biblical tower is the subject of a famous 1563 painting by Peter Bruegel the Elder?
So can you repeat the question?
What biblical tower is the subject of a famous 1563 painting by Peter Bruegel the Elder?
Babel.
Yes. In March 2022, which British rapper had a UK #1 single entitled Starlight?
Stormzy.
No, Dave. Which region of Czechoslovakia, largely populated by German speakers, was annexed by Hitler in 1938 in what he announced would be the last territorial claim I have to make in Europe?
Sudetenland.
Yes. What species of finch of the genus Loxia gets its common name from its unusually shaped beak, which it uses to extract seeds from pine cones?
Crossbill.
Yes. Which Irish dramatist wrote the 1893 play in which a character named Lord Illingworth describes fox hunting as the unspeakable in full pursuit of the uneatable?
Oscar Wilde.
It was Oscar Wilde. My word, Anna, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you've got 20 points.
Thank you.
And finally, let's have Joe again. Joe, you start with 13 points. The score to beat to get through to the semi-finals is Anna's 20 points. And you've got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Starting now, Perugia, Rimini and Salerno are cities in which European country?
Italy.
Yes, the name of which chess piece can also be used to mean a person who can be manipulated for someone else's purposes?
Pawn.
Yes, which former First Minister of Northern Ireland was made a dame in the 2022 Queen's Birthday Honours list?
Dodds.
No, Arlene Foster. What's the full name of the music producer who was born in Chicago in 1933, won his 28th Grammy Award in 2019, and is known by the nickname Q?
Quincy Jones.
Yes, at the time of his execution in 1645, William Laud, who'd been a religious advisor to Charles I, held what senior post in the Church of England?
Archbishop of Canterbury.
Yes, what name for a type of meat stew from the Languedoc region of southern France, made with white haricot beans, comes from the word for the earthenware dish in which it's cooked?
Cassoulet.
Yes, what television game show presented by Noel Edmonds ran for more than 10 years from 2005 and offered contestants the chance to win money by opening numbered red boxes?
Deal or No Deal.
Yes, the best-known works of which Dutch artist include the 1632 painting The Anatomy Lesson of Dr. Nicholas Tulp.
Rembrandt.
Yes, the Wade-Giles system and its successor, Pinyin, were devised to transliterate which Asian language into the Roman alphabet?
Chinese.
Yes, what name, spelt with a silent first letter G, is given to the raised part of a sundial that casts a shadow?
Gnomon.
Yes, which knighted former England cricket captain was nicknamed Beefy?
Ian Botham.
Yes, which author, who died in 2018, won the 1998 Pulitzer Prize for Fiction with his novel American Pastoral?
Saul Bellow.
No, Philip Roth. In the name of a UK educational qualification, the letters HND stand for Higher National what?
Diploma.
Yes, which American country singer stars opposite Sylvester Stallone in the 1984 film Rhinestone and plays the beauty shop owner Truvy Jones in the 1989 comedy drama Steel Magnolias?
Dolly Parton.
Yes, the 18th century British inventor John Kay developed a device that revolutionized the weaving industry known as the flying what?
Shuttle.
Yes, a large zoo, one of two operated by the Zoological Society of London, is named after its location just outside which village near Dunstable in Bedfordshire?
Whitstable.
No, Whipsnade. Which character is described as Pilot of the Future on the cover of the first edition of the Eagle comic, published in 1950?
Dan Dare.
Yes, which body of the United Nations, consisting of 5 permanent and 10 non-permanent members, has the stated aim of maintaining international peace?
The Security Council.
It is the Security Council. And Joe, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you've done it. You've got 28 points. Well done.
Thank you.
So let's have a look at the final scores. In 4th place with 16 points, it's Jack. In 3rd place with 17 points, Padraig. In 2nd place with 20 points, it's Anna. And in 1st place with 28 points, it's Joe, which means he goes through to the semi-finals. Congratulations to him. Now, if you would like to be a contender in the next series, please go to our website, bbc.co.uk/mastermind, and you can follow us at Mastermind Quiz. Join us again next time for more Masterminds. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
My specialist subject was the suffragette Emily Wilding Davison. My wife Barbara's grandmother was also a suffragette at about the same time, and it's quite possible she actually knew Emily Wilding Davison. So it really is a very personal subject for me as well.
And at the end of that round, you've got 13 points.
Thank you. Ever since Mastermind started in 1972, I've loved watching it. So to be appearing on the Golden Jubilee series and to win my heat is, just more than a dream come true. Just totally amazing.